This is where the fun begins.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
We are back, and we have a special guest, Tom.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Welcome back to another episode of the SithCast podcast, a Star Wars podcast where we pretty much talk anything and everything Star Wars. I'm your host, PJ the Paradox Nerd, alongside my co-hosts, wink, wink, Sean Solo and Sith Queen Nilda, and our special guest of the night, Tom Spina from Regal Robot.
Can we hear Tom? There he is. We got you. Yeah.
I'm trying something here. All of a sudden, as soon as I went live, the sound went out. Let me try this mic thing again.
That's a given. Okay. That's the way it works.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
I had to unplug it and plug it back in again. That's the total baseline tech support right there. I got to fix. Pretty good.
On the fly, baby. On the
fly. That's how we roll.
Listen, this is a professional outfit right here. I don't want people getting the wrong idea. Thank you very much for the intro. I didn't hear it, but I assume it was nice. So if you said bad things about me, that's cool. I didn't.
No, never. Not you. Absolutely not. Especially the amount of stuff that we, obviously buy from you. No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Like everybody has to keep their dealer happy. I get it. Thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always good to chat with you on the air or off. Always. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Tom Spina is the owner of Regal Robot, and Regal Robot is a Star Wars company that makes really great props, furniture, decor, and pretty much anything a Star Wars fan would need.
It's a weird mix, right? It's
it's a great
magnets and decor and dewbacks that are sofas, and then replica props and busts and life-size characters. Yeah, it's I don't know. Magnets. For me, it's just is it could we do something in a cool way? That's the whole thing. What would be the cool thing to do, or what would be something no other licensee would ever do in a million years? And that's always that's what we want to do. And not just because nobody's doing that, we should do it. It's no, we want to do that.
And the best thing is not everything's a high price. You have something from $40 all the way up, so you can satisfy all the customers.
I mean, we got stuff down now. The newest wall decor pieces are $20 each. So it's definitely trying to make sure we give a little something for everybody. Get stuff for the people who just want to dress up their place, make their man cave more Star Wars, their fan cave, whatever. Come up with really unique things to put on your desk, and to bring that little bit of your own personality to work with you, or to your home or your office or wherever. And for us, our personality is Star Wars. A lot of times we're nerds. So, it's that's the stuff I'm trying to do. And then beyond that, we have all of the replica stuff and the statues and the busts and, the really high end stuff. But that's that you're right. Yeah, it's a nice range. And it's actually nice that folks notice that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before we get started, I actually have a bone to pick with. I need to know, Tom. Yeah. I honestly need to know. Were you involved in this? You can wink, double wink.
We talked about this last week.
You see something in the background here?
Just scratch your nose 3 times.
I would say this. I wish we were. I'm pretty sure I know the source on that one. It's an older fan made piece. I think it's probably the same head they used in. I guess it was this episode of Mando where they were trying to. They told the stories of Boba Fett's armor being with the Jawas and stuff. But I wish they would have called us, because our CZ3 head is scanned off of the real prop, and I that would have given an extra layer there. But you know what? I mean, look, that shot alone is gorgeous, and everything in it is great. So whether they called us or not this time, I'm lucky that they've called us so many times in the past. I'm so like, anytime you see something you made in a show like this, it's like, oh my God, how did that happen?
Yeah, this thing's crazy. Like, let's go in and get an oil change.
Right.
Well, to be honest, though,
drink?
it's crazy because I feel like the CZ3 bus, right? Like, not a lot of people know the CZ3 character, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the hardcore Star Wars fans do, and they want to buy the bus. And to be honest, like, I'm actually kind of regretting, because it's, when you look at that bus, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But I feel like now, especially with the popularity of the Mandalorian, people are gonna look at that CZ3
and feel bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to feel bad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here it is. People are gonna go nuts, especially if there's a scene of CZ3, kind of like somewhere.
I feel like he's, and this is, I think it's a perfect example of what I was saying before. It's like, all the other licensees, nobody's going to make I mean, never mind. Like, you're lucky we got action figures of him. Like, who's going to make a life-sized bust of this? Like, we showed that to Lucasfilm, and the literal reaction was along the lines of like, people want this.
Yeah. Why did you do this?
I hope so, but I want this. Like, that was where I started. It was like, we want this. And, I believe there are people like me out there. Like, that's kind of our gut. Like, me and Rob at the shop, as we're picking what to do next and stuff, it's always like, we're never sitting around going like, oh, are people going to buy that? Do people want this? What can we do? Yeah. It's always like, oh man, we got to do that, and it's and there's plenty of times where we'll pick something, we're like, oh, we got to do that. And, maybe not as many people want it as the thing that would be more popular, but that's what's going to make us happy. That's what's going to make it interesting.
Yeah. But that's what makes Regal Robot unique, is that you guys think outside the box. And I think that's what people gravitate to, because there's so many companies that will make 1,000 Darth Vaders, Darth Mauls, Chewies, the really popular characters.
Right, Boba Fett, and all of that, Mando. Yeah.
But when you guys deep dive into it, the true fans are like, oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny, we have something coming up. Oh, gosh, how do I say this?
Sign language.
I might have to stop there. I don't know. No. Okay. So we have something coming up that I'll say this. It's a more popular character, but it's our way of doing it. And it's one of those things where, like, you know what? We would never be the company to make that. But this is so us. We have to do it because nobody else would do that. And we'll probably, it'll be 3 or 4, or what is this? Today's 25th. Probably about 4 weeks till we can even talk about that. But
wow!
But more coming up. There's I'm teasing. I'm doing that.
I do want to guess. Is it original trilogy?
I decline to answer.
Okay.
It's original trilogy.
You can't blame me for trying.
No. I take the 5th. Can I use the
Sean
5th on that? I feel like that doesn't apply, but I'm going to pretend it does.
I see Sean going through a list of characters and going,
my Rolodex of OT.
Right. Yeah. And Sean's like secretly like messaging me on Facebook, like off camera. He's just like,
just a hint.
Tom, is it this? Tom, is it that? Tom, did it come from this? Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, I was going to say,
I mean, it's another, I'll say this. It's another lineage piece. It's a cool, it's not just a 3D scan. It's actually an original molds piece, which is, to me, even cooler. And so
it's actually
anyway,
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. it'll be fun. You'll see.
Tom, you're killing us.
I know PJ and I will definitely want to know about this. Would you guys ever do a Jar Jar Binks?
Tom, you can be truthful too, because I can't stand them.
If you do it, people will come.
I will buy it.
Here's the thing. One, we definitely know there's tons of people out there who have a soft spot for Jar Jar. There are so many original trilogy things, or even classics, whatever you want to call it, that we want to get through, that and especially like this year where it's the 40th of Return of the Jedi. We want to get through a lot of that stuff before we start shifting gears into anything prequel. But we're not sleeping on it. We know there are fans out there for it. There are some neat things from pre-production of Jar Jar that are pretty us things, concept sculpts and things like that.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
So, if folks want to see that, hey, I'm going to plug something. So we just started a group on Facebook. So
yes.
We have been dragged kicking and screaming into the year 2023. And actually, we started a Facebook group. We were dragged into 1998 or whatever, however many years ago all that should have been. But we started a Facebook group. It is called the Regal Robot Fans and Collector Showcase. If you're on Facebook and you like the stuff we do, or even if you don't, go to the group and click join. You'll have to answer a couple of questions just to prove you're a person. And then it's a place where we can discuss this stuff. It's a place where if folks have something they want to see, they can ask about it. If they want to, even if they just want to ask other fans, hey, does anybody else want to see a Jar Jar whatever?
Oh, yes.
Just throw that out there and let people talk about it. I think it's been really fun. I think we're up to like 580 people or something so far, and it's just been a little over a week. So it's awesome. It's really cool how many people are in there. There's been some great discussion, and we've even started sharing like some sneak peeks. Like there's a video that I put up today that was me talking with Chris Wayless about all the work he did at ILM. There it is, in fact.
Right there.
That's not live to the public yet, but if you're in the group, you can go and you can check it out. And it's I think that's about a 30-minute interview with Chris talking about everything from how he got started at ILM to how he did. He was one of the creature designers for Return of the Jedi, making the maquettes to come up with what these guys were going to look like. And so he talks about how and when he did that. And then we go piece by piece with about 6 or 7 of the different maquettes where he talks in depth about each one, what his thoughts were behind it, what the inspiration was, how he made it, things like that. It's really cool. He's a really great guy. I've been lucky to know him for a while. So, my other business, we restore original props from film. So folks like that, go to tomspinadesigns.com. We over the years, we've restored tons and tons of gremlins. And most of those are from the second movie, which Rick Baker did the work on. But we've been so lucky to have a bunch through that came from the first movie, including some gizmos and then the various evil gremlins and stuff too. And it's just so cool to have that stuff in. And so it's great, like to, in doing that, I think that was how Chris and I first connected. I think we talked a little about that, and he thanked us for kind of restoring his legacy there, which is awesome. And then, so when we started doing this project, figuring out all these different maquettes from Return of the Jedi and what the story was behind them, I started reaching out to all the guys I knew. So, I would be talking with folks that were there, and that is just this invaluable resource. And I feel like it's important when we're doing these, not just to put this thing out there, but where we can bring in the artist and do a signature edition, and definitely wherever possible, talk with them, record that, and hear their stories, find out what went on behind the scenes, and put that stuff out there for folks, because these guys aren't around forever. This is it's already 40 plus years since they started pre-production on Return of the Jedi in 1981. So, to get those stories while they're still there and to put them out there and to give people a chance to listen to them, I feel like is the coolest thing that we get to do. And I feel very, very, very lucky that I know these folks and that I can do that and I can share it with other folks. And hopefully people go to the group and click on that link and watch it and enjoy it. I think it was a fun chat.
Yeah, I shared the group in the chat. So hopefully,
thank you.
Anyone interested, there's a lot of benefits in joining the group. A lot of early sneak peeks.
There's
giveaways, right?
Yeah,
there's
a there's a $100 giveaway,
$100 gift card, yeah,
$100 credit to Regal Robot, but you got to be a member of the group to win it. So get in there.
Yes, but I just want to say, just to touch upon this really quick, I just want to say this reeks Tom Spina. I don't know. It's Cantina. It's robots. CZ3's in the back.
Yeah.
And honestly, I am OT. I think a lot of us are. If anything, all of us are OT fans.
Well, that's where it started. Sure.
And I'm really excited to where you catch up and then get to the point where you are starting to do some of the prequel stuff. And giving us your your take on it, some concept design, whether it be Jar Jar Binks or whatever character it is, because there is a huge market. Because now all those kids that watch that Star Wars movie are old now, and I'm sure they would like a piece of that.
I believe they prefer older.
Yes. And I'm sure they would like a piece of their, the prequels in their collection.
I mean, I foresee a day where that happens. I think, there's also, it's funny. I feel like you guys are lucky I'm awake right now. The last couple of weeks have been so intense. We've been doing so much. And the next couple of weeks leading up to the Gaffy Stick release are going to be even crazier. But it really does feel like a lot of times we're just, constantly going full blast, trying to both, get things prepared for whatever a future release is, get things ready to release and publicize for, whatever the current release is, get things built for whatever we just started selling, get things shipped for whatever's done being built, and then there's always, when you're developing this stuff, man, I mean, I think, I'm going to drop a name. Adam Savage was at our studio once, and he called it the exploration of an infinite number of details, or something along those lines. And it really feels like every project we do is like that. It's like you're working on a Tusken Raider bust, and you have to kind of go like, okay, we're going to start with a scan. How much of this is going to be resin? How much is going to be leather? If it's leather, what kind of leather? What thickness? How many layers of it? Is this going to be fabric? Where can we get that fabric? Oh, that fabric's easy to get. And then you find out after searching for a month, that fabric doesn't exist anymore, and you have to get it loomed somewhere in Eastern Europe, and then you get those samples in, and then you go like, oh, okay, but the dye isn't right. So now we have to dye it 3 different ways and then send it back to them to do another test. And it's just all of these steps. It's just a constant stream of, hey, this came in, does it work? And then when it doesn't, figuring out, okay, how do we revise this for the next round? And everything is just testing to make sure that when we get to the final piece, when everything goes together, what we're delivering to folks looks the way we want it to. And what our photo samples, it's like, we want to get all of this worked out before we ever put anything on sale. It's one of the reasons that the Gaffy Sticks are coming out, next month instead of a couple of months ago.
We're definitely going to tackle that because me. Yeah. Tom,
you've bothered me a little bit about it.
Give me the Gaffy.
Give me the Gaffy. Like,
I'm ready.
Gaffy, please.
Yes, I am ready. And I've been talking with with Sean and Nilda about it. I'm like, what should I get? The OT or the Mandalorian? Anyway.
I know we were dissecting it last week.
Yes, we were. We were talking about it last week because we were just kind of getting ready for today's episode. Yeah. So
these are big decisions in life. I get it.
Oh yes.
I'm here to help you. Okay.
Oh, that's why you're gonna help me.
That's why I do this.
Let me
get Tom's gonna be like, you're gonna buy both.
Yeah. Just buy both, and there's
just buy both.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously. It's gonna make you feel better. Trust me.
Well, to be honest, we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Let's address the chat real quick. We got Scott Sharp in the house. What's up, Scott? J2SO. What's up, Jason? Hope everyone's week is going good. We got Joel Hazy in the house.
What's up, Joel?
He goes, looking forward to tonight's episode. We got the traveling Jedi, Tom Spina. All right.
I feel like I've got to get ready to rumble or something with that kind of
I like that.
What's up,
Tom Spina? All right. So we got Coy Hall. What's up, Flex?
Hey, Coy.
And SW77 Flex. Who else is here? We got Scott Berry in the house. What's up, Scott?
Scott.
And we got Dennis Perez in the house. We got Jeff, aka Star Wars Addict 77.
What's up, Jeff?
Aren't we all?
Oh yes, we are all Star Wars Addict 77. Far from Death Star. What's up, Tom, the Tauntaun King? I like that. I like that. We got RMD Collective. What's up, RMD? Who else is here? We've got quite a bit here. Star Wars Sith. Oh, fellow Sith Lord, I love it. BMX Jedi, he goes, y'all should make Ralph McQuarrie things.
So we've done, we've drifted into some Ralph territory.
Just saying, there's a big, huge market for that,
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, there's interesting things on the licensing side with use of certain names and things like that. So there are often things you have to navigate with that. But if anybody likes Ralph McQuarrie stuff, go to the archive collection page on our site. Go to regalrobot.com/Star Wars, and then you'll see the archive collection link. Scroll way to the bottom. We did, as a custom piece, as a one-off for a customer, a life-size bust of Ralph McQuarrie's concept sketch for Bib Fortuna. And it doesn't look anything like Bib Fortuna,
right?
But it looks 100% like something Ralph would draw. It's amazing, and it was so cool. Casey Wong and I did the physical sculpt. Casey did most of it. I just refined things.
I have it ready, by the way.
Oh, there he is. Like, how Ralph is that design right there?
Wow!
Just immediately. And we had Paul Bateman, who actually worked a bit with Ralph. Took Ralph's sketch and interpolated it in other dimensions from different angles so that we could get our Lucasfilm approval with it and work with the client on how this would look once we put it into 3D. But then from there, it was Casey did most of the work. Sam at the shop too, at the time, Sam Martino did some work. I did some work on it. And then we cast it in this beautiful translucent resin, big, beautiful, oversized, crazy realistic eyeballs. And then we did a pedestal that matches the turrets of Jabba's palace in some of Ralph's concept sketches.
Yeah.
It's
kind of Alice in Wonderland with the hat. I see.
Totally.
Hat,
so
right?
on the
Like
left
you should be the mayor.
Yeah, right. Like, he's in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So on the left is Ralph's original sketch, and then the three on the right are from Paul Bateman exploring how it would look in other directions. So it was a lot of fun. That's Casey working on it.
Wow.
That's so cool.
So he works on a lot of important stuff, shows and things. A good guy. Old dear friend of mine.
That looks great.
Yeah, that looks great.
The eyes are beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. We do have Trooping with Robin.
Hey, Robin.
Trooping.
Hi.
I love this name, by the way. You know me and Dewback. That's how I fell in love with Regal Robot. I saw that Dewback couch, and I'm like,
deliveries.
What's up, Jason?
Get both.
Dewback.
I like this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. We got Victor Pena. Hey man, has there been any news on the Gaffy stick pricing? Which, you know what? I think we'll get into it right after.
We know someone. We're going to talk about
I think everyone said Gaffy. They're like, Sean Miller. What's up, Sean?
What's up, Sean?
Darth Rashid. What's up, Darth? Thank you for tuning in. Yo, what's up? I got a question for Tom about the life-size Boba Fett. Any reason why the Boba Fett gun on the life size is painted wood instead of rusty brown metal like the movie? I guess he's talking about the Sideshow one.
Is it the Sideshow one you guys worked on?
If he's talking about the handle of the gun, that is wood on the Empire Strikes Back, and it is painted as wood in Empire Strikes Back because it's an actual old flare gun. It was a Webley flare gun that they used that had a brass main section, but then the back, the stock of it is wood. So if that's the one he's talking about, so that would be if he's talking about what I think it is, the Sideshow life size. The
Sideshow, yes, that's the way
Boba Fett. That's something back in 2010, 2011. We did all the prototype work for them on that. Really, really challenging piece, head to toe. I had a great group of people working on it with me, and it really was this big team effort getting that done. And I think I'm really glad that Sideshow still sells those. I think it is especially to me it's special because it's the Empire look, which is really cool. That's my favorite, and I think the weathering and the paint job they do on that, considering it's a mass-produced piece, quote unquote mass-produced, is just incredible. And as you know, our paint masters were done by some of the absolute best Boba Fett painters around at the time, and was as close to the real deal as possible. And Sideshow's production people in China actually got, I want to say like 90% of the way to what we gave them, which is, it's almost unheard of in the industry. Like, it's really good what they were able to do.
Yeah. And it's crazy. A lot of people don't understand. And that's why I love Regal Robot, is because whatever is shown is basically what you get. 100% was what you get.
And usually it's the same people making them that made the one in the picture,
Yeah, exactly.
So that helps.
And that's what I said about, when I reviewed the Regal Robot Rancor, this is exactly, it's made in the US. It's made by the same people who made the prototype. It is, you got the best QC coordinator, Tom himself.
Yeah, I got the eyeballs on it.
You got the man himself,
I'll
QCing
say this,
your product.
Rob is sometimes more critical than I am. And Max at the studio, who's sort of like studio supervisor in the back, he has probably the sharpest eye out of all of us. So yeah, it's you got a lot of eyeballs on this stuff. In addition to, then having stuff where we have like folks with younger eyes than ours that catch other things as we go. Like sometimes you'll have a piece where it's a digital piece, so it's a 3D printed model, and sometimes they'll be able to spot a tiny print line that maybe our older eyes have to put the peepers on to see. Like oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Tom. Tom, how many times have you gotten to a project and you're like, "That's it, it's perfect, it's great," and then someone comes in and go, that's a little off, and you're like, "Damn it! All right, back to the drawing board."
Usually it's me doing that.
Oh, that's
and it's
you?
the reverse. Like
Nice,
someone brings it to me and they're like, "Oh, I finished this all up," and I'm just like, I got bad news for you.
We're not done.
We're not quite done. Not quite done.
Yeah, call your spouse. You're working late tonight.
Right.
Well, and that's one thing I love. Like I said, honestly, if you guys haven't owned a Regal Robot piece, please just buy one, and you'll understand where we're coming from.
Listen to that, man.
Sean has a life-size Chewbacca bust.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Sean, would you say that is one of the best pieces in your collection? If not the best piece?
If this house gets on fire, that's coming first. I can't get the chair. The chair's going to have to stay. Chewie's coming.
Right. He's coming. That chair's a tough move. I get that.
Yeah.
We had one of those in the lobby for a while. Do you have the rolling one or the one with the big base?
No, the big base. I actually had.
There's no moving that. Forget it.
I had to take the base off to get it in the door. It was I did. And I was like,
so
here I go.
We've had people who have asked us to make them the actual Emperor's Throne, like the movie model.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to kind of tell them, like, we've scaled that out. Do you have a door that can fit a 4-foot wide chair through it? It's massively wide.
Yeah.
And there's no breaking that down, Nope. But yeah, we very often, anytime we do custom furniture for people, one of the first things we say is like, we need to know the entire path from the door this comes in to the room. Are there stairs? Are there sharp turns? Is there a hallway? What's every door frame along the way like? Is there a railing to think about on the stairway? Because we don't want to build a boat in the basement for someone and have them get it home and they're trying to get it up and they have to, take their. I knew one guy actually. I think it was Rob. Rob was trying to get something up into his collection room in his new house, and he actually, if I'm remembering right, he had to take the railing off the staircase to get this in.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh! Wow!
So
wow, that's committed.
That's dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Rob is definitely. He should definitely be committed. But there was a show on Disney Plus. It's called Prop Culture. And my friend Dan Lanigan's the host. And Dan, in one of the episodes, goes and sees Rob's Narnia collection. And it's absolutely amazing. It's all screen use stuff. And one day I'll tell the story of how Rob and I had to try and get the giant full-scale Aslan lion into his old house. And for whatever reason, he called me like
come on, Tom, we gotta take the roof off this baby. We're gonna crane it in.
100-pound lion to move. Let me call Tom.
Yeah, there you go. He's been working out.
The only guy with a back. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun trying to get that thing. We had to use a lot of ingenuity. It was like I felt like we were the guys moving the Easter Island heads on
Oh my
god. Okay, we need rollers. I'm gonna line up some panels from the crate to make a ramp. We're gonna do this. We're getting this in.
Oh my god.
We got Rolando Flores in the house.
What's up?
Rolando.
And we got Darth Kenobi. We got Spice Runners Lounge. What's up, Evan?
Hey,
what's going on?
Not too late. We're actually gonna deep dive into the gaffy stick. Everyone's asking about
the gaffy what? No, I don't think so. Bye.
Get back here.
I'm out.
All right. So
yeah, we
I think.
What's up, Chasen? We got Chasen in the house.
We got Chasen in the house. What's up, Chasen? So, all right. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, Tom. Everyone's been asking about it, including myself, because I'm definitely gonna get either one of these.
Right.
I see him buying both.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there's only one showing on the screen, so I guess that's the one he's got to get.
All right. So, yeah.
I think I just stood on my head. What happened?
I know. I was like, I didn't know what. Anyway, these are great.
Can we go to the
amazing?
Side? Yeah.
Thank you. All right. What do you want to know?
Okay. So I guess let's start off with the price point. Obviously, we got the New Hope. This one has a lot of lineage into this piece. What's the starting price, or what is the price for the Hero Gaffy Stick New Hope?
There are two versions. You've got the Hero A New Hope scanned off the real prop on the Totokia end, fabricated from measurements of the original prop on the other end, and the spike end on that one is actual steel. It's all welded. Everything's hand distressed, all of that. The other end is resin, just like the real prop. Comes with the black base, everything. And that base in there isn't the final base. The final base is nicer. And the plaque on that is signed by Roger Christian, who made it for the movie.
Nice.
So
nice.
That one is $19.99. That's $1,999. No jokers. It's not $20. And the edition size is 150 pieces.
Nice.
The Mandalorian version is based on the one that the Tusken Raiders carry in The Mandalorian. It is not Boba Fett's one. That's a different one. And the reason we chose to do that one is, one, to give people a little more cost-effective option than the A New Hope. And two, because we provided those to the show. So when they were doing the show, they needed Totokias to do the gaffy sticks for those Tusken Raiders. They were on a short deadline. They always are on these shows. And so someone knew that I had a mold for that. And it was one that years and years ago I had made. It was someone in Fiji had carved up the main shaft. And then me and my friend Rob Browning at the time modified the handle to be a little more Star Wars-ish. And so they took that, added the spike end to it. And so we figured, since we still had that mold, why don't we master up the Mandalorian version as well? And the spike end on that is not steel, it's all resin. It made it be a little more cost effective for folks. So that one is $13.99.
Yeah,
both
beautiful.
of these. Thank you. Both of these are 100% made in the USA. The shafts are solid resin. The spike end on the Mando one is resin with a threaded rod core that runs all the way through it. The spike end on the A New Hope is steel. And the resin end of the steel one actually has a 1/2-inch threaded rod that runs through the whole length of the resin section as well, just because of the weight of that steel end. We didn't want anything warping over time.
Okay. Now, Tom, the Mandalorian one, then that does not come with the plaque, correct?
No. And I just realized I was sinking lower and lower in my chair. If I start disappearing, would someone say something?
He's like, if I fall asleep.
I hear a voice, but I don't see Tom. Where do you go?
Hey, everybody. So I'm sorry, Mandalorian one question. Sean?
No plaque with the Mandalorian one, correct?
There is a plaque, but there's no signature.
No signature. Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah, they'll both come with a plaque, and it'll be our standard 2.5 by 3.5, whatever that, I forget the measurement offhand, but it's a standard, more square of the plaques that we normally do.
Yeah, this would be a tough decision for me because I'm an OT guy. So I was like, oh, I got to have the New Hope. But honestly, like, I love the coloring on the Mandalorian one.
It's a little richer brown.
Yeah, it's more, almost looks like a copper in here. Like, the Mando one is a very warm, rusty brown. And the A New Hope one is, it's not black. It almost looks black on camera sometimes. But it's a dark brown with black graining and streaking, and it's darker at the edges and stuff. And then there's some chipping on the nubs of the acorn and we called it the pineapple for whatever reason. But there's a little warm brown showing through like chipped wood. But and the finish is a little different. The A New Hope has a glossier finish. And again, this is down to just matching the real props, right? And trying to make sure that what we're doing is as accurate as possible. The really kind of fun thing, I talked about this on our feed. If you look at the A New Hope there, the spike end on the acorn is based on the Hero spike, which is this longer kind of rounded top nub. When you look at behind the scenes photos in the movie, that's the nub on it. In the post-production photos or the Bantha scenes, which were all shot in the US months later, the spike is shorter and pointier. And when you look at behind the scenes footage from Tunisia, you could see they broke the spike at some point when they were using it. Right.
So someone fixed the spike and just made it shorter and pointier. So the gaffy stick in the archives has this shorter point. And we wanted to do the Hero one, which also the silver end is longer and more interesting. It's got that extra ring on it and stuff. So the thing that gave us the opportunity to do it was the gaffy stick that the Rancor Keeper carries came out of the same molds. So it has the proper Hero point on the end. So we scanned the point on that, and we scanned the whole stick from the other, and then we married up that point to the nubs on this one to make sure that everything lined up. So that was how we brought back in. We basically restored the broken one in the archives digitally to create this. That was a lot of fun. And it was one of those things where it was like, we didn't want to just guess at that point. And if we couldn't do it, we were going to do the other version. But the Hero one, to me, is where it's at. It's like, that's the over the head rock and roll shot where they go forwards and backwards.
Was that Alan Fernandez that played the part?
No. So Alan was one of the guys on the Bantha. So he was one of the elephant trainers. And that was how he got the job as a Tusken Raider. It was him and Bob Spiker were the two elephant trainers. And so they came up with Margie the elephant, and then they put the costumes on and they rode her around and they jumped on her back off the thing. So
what was the guy? He was the stunt coordinator, correct? That
it was Peter Diamond. Yes. Peter Diamond was the main guy.
I had them both mixed up.
In Tunisia with the hands over the head and fighting Luke. Totally.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at, number one, you're this new Hope gaffy stick is speaking to me because you said Rancor Keeper, and I was like, oh man,
you had him at Rancor.
You had me at Rancor. So I'm looking at the chat. Everyone's kind of like, it's half and half. A lot of people are actually digging the Mandalorian version.
It's the way
it's just that copper. It's color. Just pops. The color is beautiful.
It's pretty cool, and the weathering on the spike on that is really unique too. You're probably not going to be able to see it in that shot at all. But the main one is it's steel with a silver coat, and then a bunch of browns and blacks and rust tones over it and things like that. It's just really general weathering. It's a lot of like sort of speckly overspray. We're matching, kind of what they did. But this one has a few layers. There's actually a little bronzy color here and there. It's mostly a steel gray with silver on the point, silver edging. And then there's a cool kind of spot out kind of treatment where they do, it's this gray sort of, it's not really a patina, but almost. It's like a lighter color where you speckle it, and it kind of does negative spots in it. And it's a technique they use all the time on the modern shows and the sequel trilogy as well. So it was neat to put that technique into this one and it really does stand out nicely from the other. The spike on the end is different too. So the Mando one has a conical point, whereas the A New Hope is very squared off on the point. And the A New Hope, I mean, they're both cool. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm lucky I get to keep one of each, you know, because we need to have one at the shop to take pictures of. So,
well, we have a question. So the Traveling Jedi asks, so the Mando one was used in both shows, correct?
So it was used initially in Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, who's where they first show up, where there's the 2 Tusken Raiders in the desert that they run into. It was used in Mandalorian Season 2, where they're picking the bantha teeth with it, you know, and stuff like that. That's one of these. And then in Book of Boba Fett, one of the background Tusken Raiders carries one of these. And I don't know if I ever got a screenshot of it, but I know that we did spot it in that show. But again, we had a couple of people who thought we were making Boba Fett's club. It's not. His club is totally different. It's much longer. It's much skinnier. It's a very, very weird stick compared to these.
Yeah. Well, is there edition size for the Mandalorian version?
I believe that's at work.
That's at work. Okay.
I'm at my house now. I want to say it's also 150, but it might be 100. But it's in that range. We wanted to make. We almost made the Mandalorian one more of an open edition to give just kind of more people a chance to get it over time and stuff like that. But it ended up we did end up putting an edition size on it. That stuff, you know, if folks, I just throw this out there. There's a Facebook group where, you know, I'm sure we'll be sharing all of this kind of info. It's called the Regal Robot Fans and Collectors Showcase. It's on Facebook. You could go there and click join. Answer the questions, say you'll follow the rules and be a good little boy or girl, and then you're in. So it's,
there you go.
Just plug away.
There you go.
You know? Oh, look at that. It's right on the screen. Check it out.
Regal Robots Fan and Collector Showcase.
On Facebook.
On Facebook. Correct. I'll put the link. Oh, no, I don't have the link. I'll get the link.
It's the Facebook group that it's the place to be, I'm telling you.
Hey, Tom, I have a question about the stand now. Is it only going to come with a horizontal stand or will you offer some type of like vertical wall?
So we looked at that. They are going to come with a horizontal stand. They aren't the stand in the pictures. They're a lot nicer. Those were actually the stands we had used to bring them to Star Wars Celebration. We just mocked those up for the pictures. The new photos will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. You'll see the new stands. They are. It's a beautiful wood grain in black. It's got a 24-inch wide base with 2 cubes, and then these 2 uprights that slot into them with U-shapes that hold the stick. What's nice about them is it's like a no screw assembly. You know, you literally just slot these things in. They pressure fit, even if they're, you know, they don't even, you know, they're not super snug, and they don't need to be, which is great. They just hold up great. Plop them in. It goes together in no time. We looked at a lot of different ways to possibly hang them on a wall. Personally, if I was getting one, I would probably. So there was also a question of if they did go on a wall, would they go vertically or horizontally? Because different folks would want different things there. Ultimately, especially on the A New Hope, where it is both heavy and has a very pointy spike on one end made out of metal and a big spike on the other end made out of resin, it just wound up being a little too much of a liability to give people something to hang them on the wall.
Right.
We didn't want to end up with something where, you know, someone has an earthquake, the thing falls and, you know, pokes right through their foot or breaks something in their house.
What is it? Death by gaffy stick?
Yeah, exactly. We did not want to hear that news story on the news. So that, I mean, that's part of it. The other thing was, you know, if you're coming up with something like that, people have to hit studs when they install them.
Yeah.
You know, what happens if they don't? Is that on us? Is that on them? Do we, you know, I would still feel bad even if they did that and they missed a stud. Like, I mean, hell, how many times have I tried to hang something up and every once in a while you miss the stud, but you think you got it? And then you hang the thing and it just boom, you know?
Yeah, because that was my second question was like, if someone did try to rig something up, how heavy is it? Like,
yeah, I wanted to know how heavy it was.
They're not that. It's funny. They feel much heavier in your hand, and I think it's because of the length. The A New Hope is it's between 10 and 12 pounds, I believe.
That's not too bad.
Which doesn't sound bad until you're like wielding this thing like a weapon, and you're like, oh no, this to Tokyo were used back like by Fijian headhunters, cannibals and stuff, where they were it was called a head splitter.
Oh man.
So like if you picture that acorn coming down at someone, even if it's only 10 pounds, I mean, a bowling ball is 10 pounds.
It's gonna do the job.
Like, yeah, if you put a spike on a bowling ball and threw it at my head, you can imagine what's going to happen.
So what you're trying to say is that you could actually use this.
I'm not saying that.
If there's an intruder
where's
in
the
your house,
where's the disclaimer at?
There needs to be a disclaimer saying, please do not use this against anybody.
There is actually going to be a piece of paper, most likely taped over the area where you have to take this out of the packaging, that says, caution.
This is not a weapon.
This is display only. Do not use it as a toy. Do not use it for cosplay. Do not carry it around and yeah.
Do not make your wife angry.
Right. Yeah.
Do not let her see the current Regal Robot bill.
Oh yeah. Man dies because wife finds out how much he has spent at Regal Robot, he was bludgeoned to death with a gaffy stick.
Let's not have that story. So yeah, so for all of those reasons, we decided let's go with a tabletop display. It's a little more universal. It's a little more straightforward. It also, we had a cost-effective way to do that as well. I know people are always concerned about how much stuff costs, and you have to think when you're developing stuff like this. A lot of people think, oh, well, you have a foam insert made for that. What does that cost you? Maybe it's, $40, $50 a unit or something like that. And I think people would probably be surprised how much stuff like that costs. But then you start to realize like, oh, if you're adding $50 of cost to something, by the time you go on the back end of it and add all the licensing fees on top of that 50 you've just added, and actually wanting to make maybe a little profit on your work, and pay your taxes and pay your employees, all of this stuff, every dollar you add to it in a material cost doesn't mean you've added $1 to the price. It means you've added, $2, $3, or even $4, depending on what your royalty rates are and all this other stuff. So it's, there's for all of the fun we have with the prop and development side of this, there's a ton of work that goes into the business side of all of this, and making sure that we're delivering on our promises, we're making the best stuff we can, that we're keeping track of what these things need to cost, and that we are not I don't ever want to be one of these companies where you let's face it, we've seen plenty of people in the prop and replica space who wind up, robbing Peter to pay Paul and doing that sort of thing. And that's something that we are just so dedicated to avoiding. And they know me at the shop. I am an extremely cautious individual on the business side of all of this. And like I started saying earlier, it's one of the reasons these are now coming out February 15th. Originally, we wanted to put these out in October. And there were some things that changed behind the scenes, some of our vendors, some of the stuff that we were working on. And I, very quickly said like, okay, then it's not October. Let's get these right. And by the time we got them right, it was Christmas time. And then it was like, okay, well, we're not going to, everybody's got to pay off their gifts first. Let's give them a breather. Let's put them out in, January or February. And so, here we go. But when you're dealing with something like this, you've got resin pieces, you've got printed pieces when in the case of a scan that then have to get molded and made into resin pieces that have to have mechanical things that are through them, whether that's threaded rods, whatever, and they have to be registered at the right angle. Everything has to fit together with a metal shop that's not, the same person doing the resin necessarily. So those have to come and those have to get test fit. Then you have to, make sure that the inserts on each all fit together, marry up perfectly, etc. So there's all of these pieces that have to come together, even things like the base, where it's just, we have to make sure the tolerances are right. We have to make sure that everything sits right, that you put it on the base and it doesn't just topple over because the one end is too heavy. So, all of this stuff along the way, in addition to, we have to make Lucasfilm happy, we have to make Disney happy, we have to take pictures and make sure that they can approve what we're making and that it's accurate and that everything matches and that the paint is good and that, not just that our hand-painted sample looks good, but that our hand-painted production sample looks good, that we can say, hey, okay, our prototype, looks good. Now we've determined how we're going to do these. Okay, paint up 3 or 4 of these, you guys, as a production team, and let's see how those look to make sure they match this sample, because that's obviously, really important. And then it's just, okay, we've got to figure out what's the foam insert like for this. So we're, in a lot of cases, we'll take something that we've finished, wrap it in bubble wrap, and 3D scan it so that we can then, in 3D, start to figure out what does the insert have to look like to fit the base, the uprights, the spike end, the plaque, the Tatokia, and safely get it to someone's house in a box that isn't so huge that it costs them $700 to deliver it,
Right. Yeah. And you know what? See that, and here's the thing too, is that like the people don't, when we buy these products, right? Like, they don't understand like how much work let's put into it. Okay, yes, you make the product, but you're explaining us you have to get the foam insert right and make sure it's, UPS, FedEx safe, right? And whatever shipping method
exactly
used, so that like gets your house safe. And it's
figure out, is it going to be able to ship for the amount we're going to charge people shipping, because that's something a lot of times, especially on the big stuff like that chair Sean shipping.
I have not shit in this chair.
That chair.
Stop shitting in your chair, Sean.
Who knew that was a tongue twister? On those, we actually usually pay more than people pay for the shipping on that by a considerable amount. And it's something where I think people maybe don't. Who don't ship things every day or who don't do a lot of freight shipping, it's surprising how fast that stuff adds up. And there's always, you'll ship it at one point and then you'll get the bill after with the additional fees, and you're like, oh, but I already told the customer this,
Yeah,
but
this thing showed up in a semi,
Yeah, that's how they show up. Yeah, and it's, people are like, oh, you can't just send it FedEx ground. And it's like, well, you've seen it, Sean. So you
don't want FedEx.
Yeah, you don't want that.
You don't want FedEx.
Well, they couldn't fit it anyway.
No,
but it's on things like the Gaffy, we've actually got it into a box that I believe is, if I'm not mistaken, it's 40 inches by 12 by 12. And it's a 5-layer foam insert that all the different pieces nest in a couple of different ways. And it does, it's pretty good. We just got the first few samples in on that to test everything out earlier this week. We laid it all out, put everything in, everything fit. So it works out pretty great. And that's still a big box. 40 inches by 12 by 12 doesn't sound like that much, but when you start shipping it, you push into these oversized sizes, or if you're going cross country and stuff, it'll add up real quick, especially when it's fairly heavy to boot.
So it ships in 2 pieces, and you have to put the spike end on.
Correct. Yeah. So on the Mando one, there is a threaded rod that comes out of the spike, and on the A New Hope one, the threaded rod comes out of the shaft. It's just, if we didn't do that, the box would have to be about 55 or 60 inches long to ship it safely. Yeah. And anytime you ship something that long, it always gets damaged. There's no integrity on a box after about 40 or 48. I mean, even 48 inches is really big. 40 inches is tough. But that's the box we've got is double corrugated. It's a nice tight 12 by 12. That was important to us. If we were doing 40 inches long, I didn't want something where it was 24 wide, because then you start getting into really big boxes, and that's when they start really roughing them up.
Yeah.
Because they're just not easy to carry. And so the guys are just going to flip them along, kick them along, whatever. So, I was really proud that it was Sean Fields who did the digital on figuring out that packaging. He really got this thing nested. Me and him, I think we did 4 different versions between the two of us, and when we nailed it, it was like, oh, thank God, this will be a nice tight box, very well protected.
Well, here's another question: is that when will this be ready to be shipped? Is it going to be depending? Like, are you going to be shipping them in batches, or do you have already some that's already ready to be shipped? Once
like a lot of our stuff, we tend to do them in batches. People who bought the Weequay maquette back in September, those just started to ship. I want to say we're maybe 30 or 40 of them have shipped at this point. A bunch of them went out today. I want to say 15 or 17 of them. I don't know if they went out, but they were boxed and ready to go out. So they might be with tomorrow's pickup. But, and I know they've got another 20 of them on the paint bench that as of today, I think they were almost ready for their hair. So yeah, there's a batch of them that went out last week.
Oh, cool.
So, on those, what was that?
I said, Grandma.
Yeah. Hey, wait, does that say the Regal Robot Fan and Collector Showcase? Isn't that the Facebook group
that's
taking the world by storm? If I were out there, I would
believe
join that group.
Yes.
But yeah, those are going out, I think, about 15 or 20 a week at this point. And the next thing that'll start going out like that will be the Tusken Raider life-size busts. Those are knee-deep in production at the moment. And we're probably a good 6 or 8 weeks before the first one ship. We had always said, I think it was Q1 of 2023 was when those would start to ship. And once those start shipping, it'll be a similar thing. It'll probably be, on those, maybe 10 or 15 a week. There's a lot of work that goes into those with all the weathering and the bandages and stuff. And they're big and beefy, but they've been going through. So they've been working on the molds for the and the masters and things for the torso and the under for the head. They've been working on the bandoliers and distressing those and cutting those down and getting those all set to go. We're getting custom fabric made for the torso and for the head wraps. The next phase will probably actually be to start distressing the head wraps ahead of time while we start working on stepping up casting of the heads and things like that. And the metal parts are currently with the metal shop. We're waiting on our first production samples on those next week to make sure that everything is top notch and ready to go. And if that's good, then they get to go ahead to CNC the whole run.
And this will be a great bust to pair with your gaffy stick, especially.
I think it would be. Yeah, I would say so.
I would say so too.
I feel like I think we're like 120 or so down out of 150 on those. So I'd be surprised if the remaining ones didn't sell when the gaffies go up for sale. We saw a ton of overlap. We just released the Tauntaun maquette busts. That was Phil Tippett's. 4 different designs that Phil did for what the Tauntaun was going to look like. And they don't look anything like a Tauntaun. They're amazing. And they're just crazy and weird. And they're like dragons and seahorses and dinosaurs. There they are. But yeah, there's this like one great vintage photo of them. And like, how cool to sit there, like for us, to have scanned these real things and then put them together, and then you line them up in the same pose as the picture. Yeah. And like you start matching it up, like it feels so good. But that other Tauntaun in that picture, we did a run of 250 of those. It was mastered right out of Phil Tippett's original molds. You could see the picture there, the circa 1978 up in the top right is that same sculpture from 1978 when Phil made it. I can't believe he kept that mold all this time. Thank God Phil Tippett is a pack rat. But that, I want to say there's like 4 left out of 250.
Oh,
and we sold a whole bunch of those right when the new smaller Tauntaun bus came out. Yeah. And I think on the smaller Tauntaun bus, we're down to like 7 or 8 of those.
Oh, geez.
So if you're waiting on either of those are both Phil Tippett signature editions. If you're waiting on either of them, don't go to the website, go grab them now, put them on the payment plan. It's like $75 a month or something like that on the payment plan. These are things that we only made on those busts. We only made 100 of these. So it's the sort of thing that a few years from now, someone's going to go like, I wish I got that. And they're just not going to be there because nobody's, when it's 100 pieces, you're not having a lot of people buying them to resell. If we had 500 pieces, sure. You go on eBay 10 years from now, maybe there'll be one or two. But when it's just 100 pieces, like, where are they going to go? People are going to buy these and they're going to keep them because they're just not going to be out there. They're going to be too rare. And they'll, why would you part with something you could never replace?
Right.
Yeah. Well, J2SO said those Tauntauns will be my first major Regal Robot purchase once they are paid off.
Awesome.
Star Wars Addict 77 even says, I bought those busts, then I had to get the Tauntaun.
They go so good together. Yeah,
they really do.
Right behind me at the shop. I've got the two of them in the case together right behind me.
Yeah. He said that he says he hopes Phil's doing okay. He heard he broke his leg. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's doing all right. I think it was his ankle or his low. It was lower leg, if anything. But yeah, he was doing all right. He's tough.
Yeah. So with that being said, the Gaffy stick would be shipped towards the end of the
waves.
year.
No. So here's the thing. We'll have a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to take advantage of the 12-month payment plan on those. That said, our goal is always to get as many of them out early as possible. So anybody who pays off in full, my guess is, let me see here. So it'll be the Mando ones may be ready to ship first because we don't have the metal to deal with on those. I would guess. I have a feeling. So we're 2 weeks away from the 15th. If I had to, and this is just thinking out loud here, I would think that as many Mando ones as we sell that are paid in full would probably ship within like 4 or 8 weeks of order. They're deep in production already. They're already being cast up.
Wow.
And because those are resin, it's we can get to paint on those, and then those are good to go. The New Hope ones will probably be a little longer because I know the metal shop has a little more lead time. Here's the thing with those A New Hope ones too. They are, all the welds on that are sloppy. So if I gave it to a mechanical welder that, somebody that could run this thing and kind of machine produce it, they would be too neat and they wouldn't look good. So they have to be hand assembled and they have to be hand welded because otherwise it's just not random enough. So those take a little more time. We did already get the spike end of that because we mastered the spike end and we chipped it all up to be distressed. And then we cast those in metal so that those would be the same every time. So we didn't, we weren't randomly chipping things up. So everything had the same chips and everything. So those we already have. But yeah, that spike section with the welding and the welded ring, those are going to take a little longer. I would say the first of those will probably start shipping 8 to 12 weeks after the point of order. But it's not a huge lead time. And it might even improve from there because it just is going to be down to, are we going to wait for the whole run from the welders, or are they going to be able to get us partials along the way? I don't know how they're going to break down their production. But it's not going to be a really long wait at all. And there's a lot of the stuff we have in the works where, it depends on the piece, but like something like Reuse, which comes out next week, that's going to be ready to ship probably 4 to 6 weeks after order. It's not going to be long at all. They've actually, so these are solid resin. There you go. And I want to say we have about 60 or 65 out of the 100 already in resin in the shop and
these look great.
And base coated. So, they'll move to paint pretty quick. We're waiting for the bases from the millwork shop. But all the plaques are in. Chris signed them all. And that right there, these are exclusive first looks.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom, for allowing us to be exclusive with
right.
these.
You saw it here first.
Yes. And these look great.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you allowed to discuss the price point on these yet or not yet?
Yeah. So let's just see here. So Max Rebo Signature Edition was $449. The Weequay Signature Edition was $499. This one is $399.
What?
So
wow.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. So
these look great, by the way. I mean, this is my favorite one out of the ones that you released.
Thanks.
Really, this is.
Yeah.
I really love the detail on the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Chris Wayless's sculpt. People who don't know him, he's the guy who he did the creatures for Gremlins. He did the creatures for Jeff Goldblum's Fly movie. He directed The Fly 2. He worked on Enemy Mine, which is amazing makeup and creatures. He worked on House 2, which is also, let me tell you, that's one of those movies that had no right being as good as it is. That is one of my favorite 80s horror movies.
Yeah, I love House 2.
House 2 is even better. But, and Chris also did the melting heads in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So while he was at ILM, he was doing these. And he sculpted a whole bunch of them. He did Reese, he did Squid Head, he did Toothface. Some of the Ewok designs were his. He did a bunch. Ishi Tib. He did a bunch of them that wound up not being used, but a few of them that are really goofy. And one in particular, this Cyclops-looking guy with a goatee who looks like a wedge of cheese, but I freaking love him for some reason. He looks like something out of the Outer Limits meets like Wilkins and Wonkins from the Muppets, the old coffee commercials. That's a deep cut for the audience there. But yeah, and if you want to know which one was his favorite, it was recorded in the video that we did. So go to the Regal Robot Facebook group, the Regal Robot Fans and Collectors Showcase.
Hold on.
For the
there
video
it is.
I posted today, and you too can find out Chris Wayless's favorite and discuss it on the group with all of our friends. They told me I had to tease stuff more. How am I doing?
You got it. You're doing great.
And hey, you know what? And to add it, there is a contest running right now.
That's
in
true.
the Facebook group. So it's $100 gift card towards,
you could use it towards this reuse next week if you want.
There you go.
So this,
but you got to be in the group to win. So go and join.
Yes, it's easy, guys. You just have to hit join.
Join.
And done. Well done.
And the benefits for just hitting that button.
Say you have like the, you're not a robot question. Like I think you have to answer what your favorite Regal piece is, and then you have to say that you agree to the rules and that you're not going to be a jerk. And that's it.
That's it.
We do have a question, I guess, because Dave. Shout out to David. What's up, David?
Oh,
I guess he
David.
Sees your snaggletooth.
What snaggletooth? What are you talking about? So that is from. So behind me is I can't really. There's some. Yeah, I can't turn that camera around. Behind me, I have the A New Hope version of Snaggletooth. Let me see. Can you see one of them over here too, or is he hiding?
Yeah. No.
No, we see him.
So that's one of the A New Hope ones. I have the other one over across.
That is beautiful.
I've actually got Snaggletooth's original costume from Star Wars, like the real worn in the movie costume. And one of the heads I made is on there, and it was really cool. So I sculpted those years ago. Using old photos and things like that from the Chronicles and stuff. And here's how far we've come. So years ago, when I wanted to sculpt this stuff, I felt a lot of people didn't get the scale right on things. Everybody tends to make Star Wars heads much smaller than they were. And I had even not having seen the originals yet. But at some point, I got my hands on a really good casting of the Duro's mask. And notice that in all of the photos in the Chronicles, or most of them, there was a card that was just a white card. And it turned out that it was Photoshopped. They were covering up Rick Baker or 20th Century Fox copyrights. And what they had done is when they did these old photos, they would put that in there so that Lucasfilm would know who owned which design, because some of the stuff that Rick did prior to Star Wars, were copyrighted by him prior. And I was able to use the Duros to figure out the scale of that card. And then from the scale of that card, I could scale all of the other monsters. And it's funny, Christian at the shop was actually just flipping through the Chronicles today to look at I can't say it, while he was working on one of our scans. And he found a whole bunch of papers fell out of it. It was all measurements and like fractions and things. And that was me from like 20 years ago figuring out how, all these things. More than that now, 25, goodness. But so I sculpted those heads, and shortly after that, Stuart Freeborn was retiring, and I managed to pick up, when he did, he had my friends at Prop Store help him find homes for a bunch of stuff. And I got to go over there and dig through some of what they had, what he had there, and look through all his old filing cabinet and all the paperwork in there, and to look through just boxes of Stuart Freeborn junk,
Oh, wow.
And one of those boxes was full of claws and teeth. And in that box, we found the original Wampa claws from the 11-foot giant figure that they brought to Finse, Norway, and used in the cut scenes in the Rebel base. We found teeth that were actually used in 3 places in Star Wars. They were the Wampa teeth from Stuart Freeborn's version of the Wampa. They were Snaggletooth's teeth, and they were the Ugnaughts teeth. The Ugnaught that has like the little tusks.
Yeah.
So I saw them, and they were actually probably molded from some taxidermy teeth, or it was something that Stuart had sculpted at some point and made a mold of. And it was just, these were spare castings. And I wound up, and also in there were these antennae that wound up being the last pieces of, it was called the Grasshopper. It was a character intended for the first Star Wars that when Stuart got sick and couldn't finish the Cantina stuff, he didn't get to finish. So I've got these antennae that were intended for that character, and it never got finished. But I also have Stuart's sketch of it. And in the sketch, you could see he sketched out the antenna. It's like link for link, exactly what he made. I almost wonder if he had those left over from something else and he was incorporating it into it, because he was a pack rat. Yeah. He saved boxes of fur and claws and nails and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, going through that box was amazing. And eventually I picked up a bunch of those sketches and I bought that box. I was like, I'm not leaving without this box of claws and teeth and things. So when I did I went back to my Snaggletooth heads and I cut my tooth out of that and I put an actual Stuart Freeborn tooth into it.
Oh, wow.
And
that's cool.
So that's those ones. This one, however, is from the 2012 Super Bowl commercial.
Yes.
The Dog Strikes Back, where we had to recreate all the Cantina monsters for them. And Mike Thomas sculpted this one at the shop. It's beautiful. It is the holiday special style. So it's a little different than the A New Hope ones, which have a little plainer skin, different eyes, different teeth, and stuff. Actually, teeth are the same. They're just exposed differently, and a different haircut. But it's a really cool sculpt. And we molded the tooth for that, the big tooth anyway, off of one of those Freeborn teeth. Because we're like, we're going to do this right. Like if we got that, we got to make sure there's got to be lineage even on that.
The question is, did you find anything Yoda related?
There was some Yoda related stuff at the time. Yeah, there was actually, Stuart had kept a lot of Yoda stuff prior that had found its way to some friends of his and things like that. Again, just amazing pack rat. The effects guy mentality of like, someday I'm going to use this really pays off in that situation where it's like, oh, thank God you saved this. This is history.
Yeah. We have another question for you, Tom. Tom, can we make a life-size Dexter Jetster a reality?
I mean, if anybody's got the budget, anything like that is possible. That would be within our license and it would be within our skill set. It's just a question of is it within anyone's budget to really do that? Especially because that's not, let's be honest, that's probably a one-off. I don't think there's a whole bunch of people clamoring to,
You never know.
You never know.
But you know what, Snaggletooth, I think if you do a run of that, it would fly off the shelves. It's just something about that character.
He's so good.
It's just
yeah. Well, and there's there's a lot of different busts we want to do. The life-size busts are something I think we'll be doing a lot more of in the future. For this year, we've got the Return of the Jedi 40th. We're going to do a bunch of the maquettes. We have a lot of those sort of in the pipeline. What we've been trying to do is figure out a way to release them where we can vary up who the different signers are and get different artists involved so that we can, everybody loves Phil Tippett. And it's amazing every time you can bring his signature into your collection. But since we're doing signature editions on these, how cool is it to get different artists that worked on that scene together and then bring in some extra Phil Tippett ones after that. so yeah, we have a lot of those. We have a couple of busts in the works. I would say 2 or 3 already in the works, and we have.
Oh my gosh!
Are
they going to be announced this year?
Probably at least 2 announced. I don't know if any are going to be released this year. We'll have to see.
Yeah, but they're going to be definitely announcing. You're going to announce it this year.
By definitely, I mean probably.
Probably.
I mean maybe. You could say definitely, but I'll say maybe.
Oh well, we're excited to
Thanks.
Even know.
I love that stuff. I feel like the busts are. I mean, as you can see from behind me, like I'm a heads guy when it comes to this.
Yeah,
I'm excited to know what's coming out on March 1st.
Yes.
Oh, Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So this is fun. This is the release date, which we're going to talk about the new embossed metal art pieces that. We're in just a second. But for the people that want to know about Reese.
We keep doing that too.
I know. I'm like
Reese.
What's funny when I grew up, I always called them Re-Eyes. I guess it's being such a little kid and you barely read the box, and then half my life it was it's Re-Eyes, and then I was like, wait a minute, I've been saying this completely wrong.
That's like I didn't know 9-numb was. I always thought it was just 9-numb.
If you make a
that's
UMB.
Like,
Can I tell you, if you make a 9-nub bust. Count me in, sir.
We have a great sculpt of him. We did that for a video that we had to shoot with Billy D. Williams and Patton Oswald and a bunch of other folks back in 2014. We sculpted up a really nice 9-num that my friend John got to play for the thing. And there's actual footage, my buddy John as 9-num dancing with Billy D. Williams. And it's just like, okay,
give me 9-num,
there we go.
Man.
Yeah.
Give me him. Give me the bust of him. That's all I'm saying. Make it happen.
Sticks and 9-num. Make it happen.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, PJ. I was gonna say we got to meet Mike Quinn at ICC last year, who played 9-num.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So really quick, and for the people that want to know about the maquette, so this will be released next week. Release be up for pre-order. It's $3.99, or was it $3.99? $3.99.
Yep.
Edition size is
100 pieces.
100,
and that's
it.
That's
not a lot. That's not a lot.
No.
Signature edition, 100 pieces.
Price.
There's no numbered edition right now. We are, it's
that's
like
nice.
the Tauntaun bus, 100 piece, no numbered edition.
Good.
So
it's actually pretty big too.
I think I'm gonna be buying my first piece.
Do it. You got to do it.
It is. It's a little bigger than. It's kind of a nice in between Max Rebo and sorry, not Reuse. Weequay. Weequay is definitely the biggest so far. But Reese has a nice mass to him. He's got a little bit of depth to him. The sculpt is just beautiful. Chris's sculpt, when you look under the eyes and all these pouches and jowls, like all that stuff, it's for the size, it is so natural and it's so
detailed.
Beautiful.
His mouth reminds me. His mouth reminds me of like a billy goat who would be out in the field chewing.
Yeah, totally. And that's it. He took inspiration from real animals and combined them with things in his head. And he's someone he does talk about in the video that I was mentioning, available in the Facebook group I was mentioning. He does talk about one of the questions I always ask these guys is, what do you think makes a good monster? And his answer is one of my favorites. So go check out the video and you'll hear it. I don't want to speak for him.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be watching that tonight.
And check it out on the Facebook
100
page.
pieces.
That's right. 100 pieces.
This is gonna go. This is gonna go quick, guys. Honestly,
Probably.
100 pieces for that price. Honestly, you can't beat it. It's a good-looking maquette. Honestly,
and I'll say this:
it's the best one I've seen so far. So
thank you. I did the. I'll take. Hold on. I'll do one of these because I did the paint mastering on this one. I tend to do the first ones. I did the paint masters for Weequay. Matthew at the studio, I credited him the other day, but I'll do it again. He's been the lead painter on these for the production run, and he is crushing it. Like, they look just like my paint. I'm so proud of him and the work he's doing on them. We'll do the same thing with these Rees. And it's funny, It's a deceptively tough paint job. A lot of times I blast through these. I think on Weequay I did one test paint and then a final, and I was there. This one I had to do like 3 or 4 different tests. I tried a lot of different combinations of paints. It was there was even a lot of combinations of color of resin versus color of base color versus the wash colors, and then the dry brush over that, and all the other fun stuff. So there's a lot that goes into him. There's some airbrush paint. There's a lot of hand paint. There's gloss. There's matte sections. It's deceptively tricky, little guy, but he comes out great, and I'm so excited. It's so, for me, you have to remember, I make this stuff because I want to have it.
Right.
So Rob and I, whenever we make a new one, it's like when I finish the paint sample, we got it. Okay, that's going to be our photo master. Then we do some tests. Like, okay, we can duplicate that. Great. Okay, that's the one we're going for. And then it's just like, and that's going in the office. Thank you very much. And then it goes on my shelf. And it's like,
nice.
But you know what? That means you made all these maquettes, props out of love, because that means a lot. As to someone that's just making it just to make it,
right.
It's something that you pour your heart out into it, and
every time
the collectors, the fan appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because when we own that piece, it's it's just like food you make out of love.
I hope people. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a great metaphor. I hope people get that. Like I do hope. I think a lot of times people assume that if something is a high ticket item, that someone's gouging or someone just wants to make money off it or whatever. I think people would be shocked at how low the margins are on some of the high end stuff. Comparatively to what you would expect out of like a standard retail joint where, they're making, 60, 70% or some nonsense. These are always made at the best price we can possibly do it to get it into the most people's collections that we can possibly do it, while still effectively making enough money to pay our team well and to make, to keep being able to make more stuff in the future.
Yeah.
Every one of them is because we want it for our collection too. And there's so much love. And we spend so much time quoting the old making of documentaries, and like, you can't put one of these on the shelf without starting to sing the background music in the old From Star Wars to Jedi video where they're just lining up the maquettes.
Yeah.
Rob and I are constantly going back and forth with that.
And me going to San Diego Comic-Con and just kind of like talking with some of the companies, and talking to you, it's seriously, people don't understand that is the behind the scene factor. Is there's so much that is so involved with the licensing, with the companies, with Disney, with Star Wars, that's why I support you guys. And I always say made in the USA. These are these are people who are dedicated to making a great piece for your collection. It's just not someone from a factory that don't really care, and they're just like,
right.
And then like, if there's something wrong with it, well, guess what? Oh well, that's you.
Right.
It's just it's just a lot of stuff.
What was the old Kenner motto? You would get the little piece of paper that said, "We really do care," from Kenner when you would buy like an old Star Wars toy, and it would be like, "Oh, if there's anything wrong, give us a call." And that's the way we are. Look, we know that sometimes the shipping companies beat the hell out of things, and it's rare, but sometimes somebody gets something that breaks. Give us a call. We'll take care of it. This is the effort that the people in our studio put into making this stuff is only equaled by the effort that the people in our front office will do in dealing with the customers. I know you guys have already interacted with probably Katie and Tracy and Christine
everyone's
and Ross.
Yeah, everyone's great.
They're just such great people. They're so nice. They work so hard to make sure that people are taken care of. And when something goes wrong, like, I swear they lose sleep over it. Like, if something, they bring it home. Like, if something gets damaged in shipping, or if somebody's like, oh, my package didn't arrive on time, like, they are freaking out, calling FedEx as quick as they can, trying to find out where this thing went, because they know how important these things are to people, and they know that you know, like there's a feeling you get when you get something like this. You know what I mean? And it's like you want that to just be a positive experience all the way through. And it could be something where it's like, hey, I bought this from a company online. My information went into some vault somewhere that no one ever told me they received the order. I never spoke to a single human being, but I got the piece and it's kind of cool. And it's like, okay, that's one way to do it. But we're like, you know, the order is placed. We send a personal note to the person saying, hey, we got your order. Like, that's super important to us. I want people to know, like, hey, it's safe. It's good. Don't worry. We got you, you know, or, hey, it's going to be 6 or 8 weeks till this is ready. Make sure you know that, you know, it's like, so that they don't wonder, hey, why didn't my piece show up? It's like, this is the schedule. It's on the website, but here, we'll remind you just in case. And then, you know, hey, it's shipped out. Here's your tracking number. Like, and not just some automated system. Like, it's a person doing it. That's important. And I'm, you know, it makes me so happy that they really buy into that and they really push so hard to do that. And just, you know, they work their butts off in the office. Like, we are just constantly plugging away, man.
I've gotten those emails and I'm like, wow, she typed all that? Like, oh my God. you know, it's just like, it's just so personal. You're absolutely right. It's very personal.
We try.
And it just gives you a nice update of what's happening and what's going on. And, you know,
thanks.
It's the true meaning of customer satisfaction.
It's so important. It's so important to us.
And Sean's gotten a couple things too, and you got the same experience as well, right, Sean? With your bus, with your chair.
Yeah, I dealt with Katie on both of those, and she was just more than fantastic. Extremely friendly, knowledgeable. She's fantastic. I think I was joking with her in one of the emails because I was telling her how well she's good at her job, and I was like, "Tell Tom he needs to give you a raise."
Yeah, she told me that. Yeah,
did she? That's funny.
She deserves one. I'm telling you. She's outstanding. You know, I don't know what I would do without her and Christine and Tracy and even Ross now, who's relatively new, but he's doing a lot of the shipping. There's just so much going on. And here's the thing, you know, we're 2 companies in there. So like you talk about, you keep talking about what's behind the scenes. It's like, what is the duck? And, you know, what you see above the water, it's all calm and he's just swimming by, and then under it's like, ah! That's us 100%. It's like you know, as you could get is us, you know. But we'll be working on stuff for Regal, and we're producing stuff ahead of time. We're making stuff for current orders. We are working on prototypes. We are working on digital development for other things. We are planning our next trip to the archives. We are doing research on some other prop that we're thinking about doing. We're trying to plan our release schedule. We're working on pricing. We're talking with Lucasfilm about approvals, doing safety testing for Disney, blah, 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 all the way down the line. All of that's happening. And at the same time, we'll usually have 10 to 15 projects, or often 20 to 30 projects going with my other company, Tom Spina Designs, where we're doing custom mannequins for people with a movie costume, restoration of things. Like at the moment, we've got a puppet from Nightmare Before Christmas in the shop. We have the Power Rangers from the 1995 Power Ranger movie. We have 6 or 7 of those in the shop that we're restoring head to toe.
Oh my God.
Huge, massive project. We have, I'm trying to picture the tables. A Stay Puft Marshmallow Man head. We have something from the first Gremlins. We have all of this happening at the same time as all of this Regal stuff. And there's only like 17, 18 of us there at a time, you know, maybe 19. Like it's not a ton of people. And so there is just, it's a buzz. It's funny. Rob and I stayed after everybody left, and we were just like, it's so weird walking around and not having people zipping by you all day, you know, because there's just always people going by, and it's awesome. It's a great feeling to have that level of activity. It's awesome to have all this going. It is a little exhausting sometimes. And there's definitely, you know, this lead up to the Rees launch and the Gaffy Stick launch. At one point I was a little like, this might break me. Like this is a lot. This is so much going on right now because we have a huge deadline project for TSD. It's a custom wax figure type thing that is on a really crazy time frame. And it's just kind of one of these like, we're gonna do it. Like, okay, dig in. This is how this goes. But yeah, there's it is amazing how much goes on behind the scenes, and it's the cool thing is, though, at the end of the day, it's still fun. It's still what I absolutely love to do. I'm so energized and ready to like jump out of bed and go to work every morning, thankfully, and I get to do it with really great, really amazing people that are also, you know, feed my energy like that too. So that's a very nice feeling as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to bring up this comment, you know, from Far From Death Star. You know, I actually met Far From Death Star at Celebration last year, and he actually bought me a drink. So shout out to him.
Hey,
he's a great guy. I actually ran into him. It was funny because like I went to a bar and I was gonna like have a drink with one of the with Sean Miller, Sean Stone, I mean, and it was funny, like he's there. He's like, "Oh, PJ." Oh, I was like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, it's cool. It's Far From Death Star." I was like, "Let me buy a drink." I was like, "Oh, get out of here!" And long story short, he just mentioned here. Also, the Regal Robot team are the most friendliest and helpful out of all the companies at Celebration. They were awesome. So
thank you.
And he also asked, any chance for any blaster props down the road, Tom?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
There are some issues with just with blaster replicas in general at the moment on the licensing side. So probably unlikely that we're going to see straight up blaster replicas. That said, you know, there's some other stuff that drifts into the replica territory that maybe even starts to drift that way. I won't say much more than that, but yeah, just straight blasters. I'm going to just sort of stay, you know, probably not.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, there's still good news. So still good news that
that's my sly face. Like, you know?
Don't have to say more. Totally.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
Definitely one of the last things I definitely want to touch on is your new embossed metal art that you just announced and shown on your website. These are amazing.
That's
cool.
I like that.
Yeah. So these are, you know, this is that like trying to hit a little something for everybody. Yeah. So we went through the Lucasfilm image archives.
I'm buying that one right now. I'm on the internet. I'm on the website right now. I'm gonna buy that.
They're about 12 inches tall, I think. They're like, you know, bigger than a comic book, but not too much. I wanted something that was, the main thing was I really wanted them to be $20, and you know, I wanted something that was like, because the magnets were all $30. They're all hand painted and all of that stuff. But
look at that.
And we have the wood plaques that we've been doing for a long time, and those we're starting to phase some of those out. So if there's any of the wood plaques you've been looking at that we do, I would definitely suggest checking them out sooner rather than later. I know there's a few left, a few of them that we are low in stock on that probably won't be coming back. But we wanted something that was a little more cost effective to ship. So instead of, you know, where the wood plaques ship for $12 each, these ship for $6 plus only $2 if you get an additional one with the same order. They're embossed metal. They feel like the coolest old metal lunchbox you ever had.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have the embossing is great. They have that thing where you can kind of go like, whoop, 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 you know, like which is great.
Nice.
And then you put 4 little tacks in the corners. They could be little brad nails or thumbtacks. They're nice and light. You can hang them anywhere. And we picked out, Rob and I went through the Lucasfilm image archives, and we picked out just, you know, so the Howard Chaykin A New Hope poster, which was the first Star Wars poster ever made. It was made before the movie. It's got this great scratchy style. He was a famous comic artist. He's a legend in his own right. But it's a really cool poster, and it's so that was, we figured, the earliest Star Wars poster. That makes sense for this. This is a vintage vibe. The Empire one is actually from one of the re-release posters. There's 3 or 4 different variations on this poster. We thought this was the coolest one. And what we did was we pulled the poster art without all the text over it. so that it's more like art than a poster. And then Return of the Jedi, it's the Blade teaser. You know, it's like that I want to say it was the advanced poster after the Revenge of the Jedi with red with the Vader. And that one to me, so I wish, it's upstairs. I was going to say I might have one over here, but there was a magazine. It was like the Star Wars Return of the Jedi Collector's Edition. And it's a white cover with an inset of this poster and a red border on it, I think. And in there are behind-the-scenes pictures of stuff. There's Ralph McQuarrie's 2-page spread of Ralph McQuarrie's Rancor painting, which is amazing. There's a great Nilo Rota Chimero sketch of Klaatu in there. All this stuff, I think Phil's sculpting Akbar, if I'm not mistaken. All this stuff that, as a kid, drove me bananas and made me want to make monsters. So to do this poster, to me, that's the connection I make. Not even so much the poster. There was also a behind-the-scenes making-of book that came out, like a novel that I think had this same thing on the cover. So it's just, to me, that's the resonation of it. That's where that's the immediate connection, that nostalgia. So that's where these come out of. And it's exciting to get more stuff out there that is, you know, on that $20 side. Like that's hard to beat. And then you had up our logo ones, which we did just for fun. I think those are $12.99 each. If anybody, wants to display our logo with your thing, they'll be in the, if you go to shop and then down to more decor. So there they are.
Nice.
Along with our little logo guy magnet and stuff too.
The magnets are cool.
Thanks. So yeah. And those aren't that big. I think that's 11.5 wide, and the head is only like 7 or 8 inches tall. But they're nice little minis, and it's just like, hey, you want to tack that guy on the wall behind your Regal stuff or something like that. Show your support. It makes a great gift, I'm sure. So yeah, grab a bunch of them.
Yeah, well, number one, those plaques. I mean, those metal, the metal.
There you can call them plaques. We don't know what to call them.
I don't know what.
They're embossed aluminum. We've been calling them like embossed metal art. Honestly, we kicking around at the studio. We always called them tin signs because they just reminded us of like vintage gas station sort of stuff, or whatever.
This looks so good.
I know.
Definitely.
I just bought it.
Oh, you did?
Thank you.
While you guys were talking,
this is amazing.
That's a live purchase.
Sean,
every time you're on, Tom, you're making money, brother.
I'm gonna have to keep doing these shows.
I love that one. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really cool art. I love that we're going through and we're trying to find stuff that doesn't get merchandised. Like we're not going to put out the same images that people pull out of a style guide.
Yeah,
We go in and find the stuff that's in the archives, but not in the style guide. We want to grab the stuff that people aren't using.
Yeah. I've never seen this poster ever. No. Right, Sean? Have you seen this poster?
I've seen it before. But
I think it's on one of the novelizations or something, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the versions of it.
This looks so good. Yeah,
it's a really cool poster. It's great.
Yeah, especially the Return of the Jedi one. Like I'm gonna get all 3.
And the Jedi's got the embossing on the saber and the hands. So they just everything. It just pops out that little bit. They're nice. We got to do. I think Rob is going to probably post on social some little videos of them like hitting the light because you see all the embossing on it when you do that. The Empire and A New Hope posters, I think have 2 layers of embossing. If you go to the A New Hope page, there's actually a picture of the back of it that shows how, if you zoom in on that or if people at home can't, you could see the multiple layers of embossing on it. It's a really neat effect. It's neat.
That's so cool. And on top of that, I think if you order like say all like 1 or 2 or 3 of them, you get a discount on the shipping. You most likely probably would package it together. And do it that way.
I think it's $6 for the first one and $2 each additional, as opposed to the wood plaques, which I think are $12 each and then $6 each additional. But it works out pretty nice.
I love these. I'm definitely
I'm excited. I think they'll be great like celebration type merchandise too. Like we could do an exclusive for the show that is. It's a nice thing that someone can put in a backpack or a piece of luggage that doesn't take up a ton of room. It's not too heavy.
Yeah, and also this just got released too, right? The
Yep,
Wampa?
that's like the most recent magnet anyway. Yeah, that Christian at the shop modeled up. Really excited about that. It's a really fun sculpt. That's, I think, what is that? 5 different beasts in the collection there.
Yep.
The Dewback, Rancor, Bantha, Tauntaun, and then we had the Luke Tauntaun with the broken horn, which was an exclusive for Comic-Con. But yeah, it's definitely a fun piece, and it pairs well with his cut off arm. Nice. Because that's what we do. Yeah, we're gonna do his cut off arm. Of course we are.
Yeah, and one thing with these, I just got the Vader one. Yeah, I think it was the New York. Was it New York Comic Con? No, was it
the melted one?
Yeah,
that was New York Comic Con this year. Yeah.
So I got that one, but these magnets are amazing. Thanks. Tom, you're seriously, oh man. Just when I'm like, I'm gonna take a little. Nope, not gonna take a break.
no rest for the wicked.
Honestly, I am gonna buy these metal art.
Yeah,
I would do it now, but I think there's a show happening right now.
I know.
Yeah, no, of course. Look, it would be ridiculous for me to be on a show and have people buying stuff on our website at the same time.
Hey, man. Only on SithCast.
Only on
me. I'm guilty.
We are a proud supporter of Regal Robot.
Where is it? He bought the Chewy the last time I was on.
Yeah. I got my Salacious.
He's sitting right there.
That's right, yeah.
And you know what? And thank you for letting us know about the release time for the Gaffy sticks. Because you know what I'm thinking now? I'm probably gonna get. I don't want to do it, but I am most likely gonna do it. I'll probably get the Mandalorian Gaffy stick paid out off. Hopefully, I'm one of the first ones in the batch, and then I could get that one. Play around with it. Hopefully, don't stab myself while I'm playing around.
Please don't.
And then. I think you said the New Hope will be a little bit later this year, which gives me enough time to tell my wife.
Sorry. So to be clear, they will be released on the same day. I was just the shipping.
Shipping
time frames.
Yeah. Shipping time frames. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. They'll both be up for order on what is it? February 15th. So if you want to reserve yours, that's the date to reserve either or both. I hear all the cool kids are getting both. I'm just saying. Someone told me that.
I think I might be a cool kid. Finally,
this is what someone else said.
PJ, you want to be cool? You better do it, brother.
I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, he's not wrong.
Torn. I'm honestly torn.
Just buy both.
You guys know I've been hounding these guys. I'm like, guys, I don't know what to get. They're like, well, no, to get the Mandalorian one. I'm like, but
I told you to buy both. Dude,
remember? I was like.
I like her.
I was watching your live stream on the Facebook group, and we were like, we're comparing notes, and I was like, oh, I like the black shaft on it, and then Sean was like, no, that's that's the New Hope one. I'm like, it is? I thought it was the Mandalorian one. No, the Mandalorian one is the copper.
I think we'll probably put the product pages up at least a few days before they go live to reserve them. Which is usually what we do. So if folks are, and here's another plug. If you're not on our newsletter mailing list, go to regalrobot.com, get on the newsletter. And I
was ready for this one.
Facebook group right there. Thank you. That is the Regal Robot Fans and Collectors Facebook group. But if you're on that list, I believe Friday, the webpage will go live for Rees, which comes out on next Wednesday. And so anybody who wants to see all the photos of that, read all the details, hear all the specs, that will all be live on Friday, and we will send an email out that will send the link to that. So if you're not already on the newsletter email list, get on it. We don't send out a lot of spam. We only send stuff out when we're doing a new release, and it's definitely the best way not to miss out on this stuff. And we'll have all the specs about box size, the figure size, the size of the base, all of that is in there. And what was that?
Will there be close-ups of like the grain, the wood grain on the?
You do see the wood grain in the photos. Yep.
Okay.
And it's funny. The base we use on the prototype probably has slightly more grain. The finished bases are a little smoother, which is nice. But there's definitely there is wood grain on these. They're all they're made from it's a hardwood and I can't remember which one. but they're actual like black stained wood, not just it's not some hollow plastic base or anything like that. A lot of times on the prototypes, we'll use resin castings of the bases though, because it's actually expensive to get one base made. We had a customer who asked us, he had one of our older maquettes that came on a different base, and he was like, "Oh, can I get a base made for that?" And it's like, I feel bad. I'm like, just so you know, it's like our cost before we've even added anything to it. It's like $85 or $100 for one base just to get a sample, because these are mill workshops. They're not set up to make one thing. If you bother them to make one thing, they're going to charge the same as if they made a bunch. So the final bases, and they're not, like I said, they're actual hardwood. They're not just I think there's another level to all of that it looks like an afterthought, and it's one of these things on the back end. There's the duck under the water again, where we're trying different sizes, we're getting samples, we're paying extra to get samples sent in, and all of this stuff. So yeah, we've kind of mocked up a bunch of different sizes in resin now as we've been going, so that we can use that to prototype them, and then we get the actual wood bases done for the run.
Yeah. Well, a lot of good stuff. And this is just the beginning of the year.
Just a few things coming out.
Just a few. Man. There's so much more too that haven't even mentioned.
Man.
Yeah.
Honestly,
just wait.
I'm just announced like the first 3 months of this year.
Yeah. We're up
yet.
to March 1st, I think, is what we have announced at this point. But there is much more coming. It is the tip of a very big iceberg.
Oh, nice. Number one, my wallet's not ready for it.
Well,
yeah.
We're trying to go easy. We're trying to space them out as best we can.
No, but honestly, I am really excited for the gaffy stick.
Thank you.
Pardon me. It looks great. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job over at Regal Robot. I've been a fan of yours since
the beginning, man. Pretty
2016 Orlando Star Wars Celebration in Orlando. Yeah. That's when I said,
it, man.
Yeah, and
that was the start.
Yes, and honestly, Tom, I know you're a busy man. We thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on the show, and let us know what is happening in Regal Robot. And Regal Robot Land, and we are all excited to pick up a lot of your products.
Thanks, man.
By the way, RMD Collectors, I'm buying those bell frames. I'm actually, while you guys were talking, I was putting it in my cart. So
I was smooth. I was doing it very
No, I was like, all right, they're talking.
I was like, no one's watching me. I'm purchasing it right now.
But unfortunately, I'm a guy, so I couldn't multitask. I was like listening to you, and I was trying to enter my credit card information.
Yeah.
I'm ready to buy those. So
honestly,
you know what, Tom? I really hope that you do more of those metal art.
Thanks, man.
Because I
think we probably will. We're gonna see how these go, and assuming things go well with them, we'll definitely push forward with some more of them. I think hopefully a lot of folks give these ones a home, and then we have a lot of ideas for them. So if these sell well, we have plenty to pull from.
I got a lot of wall space, so I'm ready.
There you go. Yeah, and they're like a good size. They don't take up a ton of space, so you have room to get some variety in there. It's not like you put one giant poster up and now my wall is done. I got no room for anything else.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple more things to plug before we log out for the night. Again, Tom, we'll give you the floor, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, first off, thank you for having me on once again. Always a blast. Always so fun. Thank you for making a purchase on air and making this really
It's actually my first Regal Robot purchase.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm excited. I finally broke my cherry.
I'll tell Katie to be really mean to you just to confuse you. You're like, but they said she was nice. I don't understand.
That Tom Spina's full of shit.
I'm gonna be like, hey Tom, so Katie does not deserve a raise.
That's right. Yeah. Her I'll listen to. But no, so yeah, it's always just great to chat. I thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. If you want the plugs, hey, go to regalrobot.com. youtube.com/Star Wars. You can see the Star Wars stuff. Get on our newsletter if you want to hear about the future Star Wars and Indiana Jones stuff.
Ooh, I was holding back. Talk about that.
Go to the Regal Robot Facebook fans and Collector Showcase group. It's on Facebook. Go search it, find it, join it. Agree to the rules, say you're not a robot, and that's where you're going to see everything first. The newsletter is where you're going to get all the alerts and the links so that you don't miss out on ordering anything. And go follow us. We're at Regal Robot everywhere. Go to YouTube, subscribe there, Instagram, Facebook, TwitFace, Instabook, all of them. And then go to, if you don't mind, go to @Tom Spina Designs as well. And follow all of those, because if you love movie stuff, if you love real props that were in the movies, that's where you're going to see all the work we do with that stuff there too. And I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I just want to say thank you again, Tom. I want to say thank you to the chat. You guys were amazing.
Thanks, guys.
I think we had a lot of people on and asking a lot of questions. Dr. Squatch says, you're awesome, Tom. And thanks to Cast Friends for everything too. Thank you, Dr. Squatch. I really appreciate it. So again, just one more thing before we log off for time. We're going to be back again next Wednesday for some What If series. We're going to post in the Facebook group, who you want to, face off each other. What if Mace Windu fought Obi-Wan Kenobi, all that good stuff. We'll put a list up there. You guys choose the topic and we'll talk about it.
Pick Snaggletooth.
Snaggletooth versus Ponda Baba.
Oh God. It's disarming.
He doesn't like you.
Thank you.
But yeah, also one more thing I want to announce is that Sith Queen, aka Nilda, will be joining our SithCast family, and she is our new co-host for the show. So yay. Sith Queen!
Sith Queen is official.
It's official. So you might see the logo change a little bit.
Probably.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. We're your Sith servants. I don't know.
Something. I don't know what we've just signed up for here, but all right.
Usually you have to pay double for that.
But again, thank you again to Tom Spina and the Regal Robot team for making such amazing products. Please follow everything, including the Facebook page. Here we go. The Regal Robot Fans and Collector Showcase.
There you go.
Please join there.
That's the group. Go find it.
That's the group. And then, hopefully Tom can tease us with some Indiana Jones stuff later.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
In the meantime, you'll all just have to keep guessing at what that March 1st release might be.
Oh my gosh. It's Well, this is for you, Tom.
I declare bankruptcy!
Oh man, thank you, Tom. Seriously.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Tom. All right, guys. So that wraps it up. We'll be back next Wednesday again, 8 p.m. Eastern time. May the midichlorians be with you guys always and forever. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.